What's a school rumor that turned out to be true? Math teacher was too interested in the pretty girls. Rumors of favors for grades were pretty regular. Then one day he was on the news because a dad found out he was having a relationship with his daughter, and he came to school and beat his ass. Of course the police were called and they looked into the allegations and found all kinds of stuff. Lots of girls came forward after it was on the news. Damn, that's awful. Did the dad beat his ass though? Yeah, he just opened the door, didn't say a word and started punching him in front of the class. I was in 7th grade. It was rumored that a girl disappeared from school because she gave birth. It was true. I was in 8th grade. It was rumored that a girl had disappeared from school because she got caught by her mom talking to a predator online. Planned to meet with him for 6 that morning and got committed to a mental institution. It turned out to be true. In high school one year, the band All Good had to cancel the whole winter show, which they do without the band, because 3/4 of them were pregnant. More than half the fathers were band percussionists. The xylophone player was father to 2. And that's the story of how the band got a special just for us 6 ed class. That our married, asshole science teacher and our single, beloved language arts teacher were having an affair. The school found out and reprimanded both of them. He threw a fit in the hallway for our entire class to hear and got himself fired. His wife divorced him and moved away with their 2 sons. The other teacher was a very sweet, lonely woman and didn't get treated too badly in the aftermath. She took accountability, but was clearly heartbroken. She remained single until she passed. My senior year, there was a rumor going around that this one girl was a prostitute, and that she would literally walk the streets in the city. I had her in one of my classes and she would just put her head down and sleep the entire class. A bunch of us decided to take 2 or 3 cars and cruise around the city to see if we could find her. We did. Poor girl, she was really pretty and it makes me sick to think that she was just a child and getting used by monsters every night. A double whammy. There was a big gun threat at my high school in the early 2000s, and a friend of mine just a few years ago confessed to me that she called it in. I heard a rumor like this at the time, but I never even questioned her about it because she was really quiet and reserved. She told me she was just trying to skip a test. It worked. They had us all out on the track all day. There had been another totally separate rumor about a certain male teacher groping an unnamed female student that he coached for a school sport. Apparently, she was also that girl. Turns out the gun threat rumor about her existed because the school outright knew she was responsible. She didn't get in any trouble because litigation about the assault between the school and her family had already begun. She told me all this casually over breakfast at a diner like it was nothing. High school principal was banging his secretary. People found out and the students started putting things up everywhere about it. His last name was Day and her first name was Rosie, so everyone would say have a Rosie Day to him. Kids spray painting it at the school. It was a small town so it was wild to watch unfold. He ended up getting a divorce and resigning. Looking back I feel terrible for what his wife probably went through. The year was 1985. Our high school chemistry teacher was losing weight and we joked that he had AIDS. He didn't, he died a few years later. Very sad because he was an incredible teacher. We had a similar rumor in the 90s. The teacher was very camp and got a lot of grief from some of the students. It turned out that it wasn't AIDS. Poor dude had leukemia. He never acknowledged the rumors or denied anything. He must have known nobody would believe him, just kept silent and dignified until he eventually passed. That the one weird science teacher was a pedo. Turns out it was true, but he had also been having an affair with the earth science teacher who was also married. He ended up killing himself and she ended up divorced, and eventually got caught hooking up with a student. She now works at a diner and I make zero eye contact with her when I'm in there. Back in high school, there was this wild rumor that our history teacher, Emma Daniels, used to be in a rock band. At first, everyone thought it was total nonsense. But then one day during Spirit Week, someone convinced him to play guitar for the school talent show. And he shredded. I'm talking full-blown stage presence, epic solo, hair flips. Turns out, he actually toured with a band in the 90s. They even had a minor radio hit. There was a whole movie made about mine. Lol. Superintendent was alleged to be stealing millions of dollars, and while he told people he had a dead wife, he was living a very lavish lifestyle with his boyfriend. He was found guilty of embezzlement. Out of curiosity, what was the movie called? Bad Education. It'd be a good movie to watch on an airplane. Unfortunately, the rumor was me. My cousin and I went to the same school, so like the asshole he is, he told a bunch of classmates I was probably suicidal and that's why I was always in long sleeves or gloves. My father is a piece of shit, so every time he needed an excuse to weasel out of something, he'd tell people he needed to keep an eye on me so I wouldn't hurt myself. When I disappeared during the first semester finals of senior year, my cousin told everyone I was in the mental hospital. He told everyone I tried to hang myself in the girls' bathroom. It was very much true. He learned it from my father and made sure the whole school knew. The rumor split into 3 branches. I actually died on campus and that's why I wasn't seen around anymore. B. My father had tried to heal me. This was also true. And C. I was never suicidal. The reason everyone saw me get taken away in the back of a police car was because I tried to heal someone else. I was rushed to the hospital in a cop car. The school called 911 and police arrived first. To this day, some of my former classmates think I died senior year. I've changed my name since graduation, so the fact that no one ever talks about Marilyn anymore gives it some plausibility. It also doesn't help that a lot of my classmates remember that I used to be a twin. My twin has since died, so it gets really messy trying to remind people that I'm the twin the rumor was about. I've given up on sorting everything out. For all I care, Marilyn is dead. That one of the wrestlers was sleeping with a trans girl. This was back in the 2000s when trans kids were not visible at school and everybody was openly gay bashing with not much pushback, so it was a pretty wild rumor. But it turned out to be true. The wrestler had been hazing this poor girl most of senior year, but she dished it back just as much, and eventually I guess they figured out what it was all about. Nobody knew if it was real until somebody photographed the two of them in his car. He never denied it and actually started sticking up for her the rest of our senior year, which was pretty cool. No idea where she ended up, unfortunately, but I know that the wrestler is now married with kids. My 9th grade English teacher, who was 23 at the time, got pregnant on purpose just so the boys would stop hitting on her in class. Always thought it was just what the guys who hit on her the most said because they didn't like that she was pregnant and therefore no longer the hot teacher, like a sort of Fox and the Grapes situation. That is, until I overheard her in the library office lamenting to another teacher about not being ready to become a mother so young, and that the only reason she got pregnant was to stop students from hitting on her, and to top it off, not even being sure if she wanted to marry the father. I heard a rumor that this very large, very obnoxious girl in the senior class was sleeping with the Silver Fox science teacher. All the girls swooned over. Nobody believed it at first because Jen was kind of a repulsive person. Jen bragged about sex all the time. Sex with classmates, random guys she met, older men, etc. She was always going on about how much sex she had. We all figured she was lying. Later that year, the teacher was investigated and terminated for having an inappropriate sexual relationship with a student. He broke things off, and she reported him. The board did not indicate which student it was, but Jen confirmed it very loudly in study hall one day. People were absolutely shocked. There was a girl in my grade who was kind of a stereotypical slutty bad girl. She went after other girls' boyfriends, partied a lot, stole, lied about all kinds of bullshit. She was one of those girls that seemed to thrive on negative attention, and she had a habit of making up dramatic stories to that effect. So when she claimed she got pregnant, her stepdad beat her till she miscarried in the sada, nobody bought it. Turns out not only was it true, he was doing it to all the kids in the house regardless of age, gender, or biological relation. And surprisingly, she grew up to be a real ducked up person. That there was a nuclear fallout shelter under the school that you could only access by going through a secret door in the gym. The school was built in the 50s, of course it was 100% true. They even had signs in the supply closet of the gym that I once saw with my own eyes, clearly indicating that it was a fallout shelter. I didn't go down there, but I did once look up historical documents that confirmed it was not only a fallout shelter, but one of several in the area, and everyone in the area was once given dedicated instructions to head to one if there was ever an inbound nuclear attack. So I guess our little small town in Ohio was fully covered if the nukes ever started flying. That one of the kids in our friend group was a pedo. Well, technically he was a minor, but the rumor was that he was targeting kids much younger than him. He was a twin. Both twins were part of the friend group. I'll call him Twin A. The rumors about Twin A started when Twin B was dating a girl who notoriously hated Twin A. We were all certain that Twin B's girlfriend was starting the rumors, which included Twin A assaulting Twin B, along with younger kids. A couple years later, he was busted for assaulting his own little siblings. Dude was diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder or something similar. Once we were all adults and I was far removed from the situation, I read an article that he was busted again with CP. I still feel so horrible that none of us believed Twin B when they backed up the rumors. I know I was young and didn't know any better, but I feel sick that I ever considered him a friend. We had a science teacher named Mr. Boyd. There was rumors about him and a girl in the grade above me all during high school. But everyone laughed it off and didn't think it was real. A few years after school, I stopped at an ATM to withdraw some cash and spotted the teacher and student doing some groceries at a nearby shop. I think my eyes almost fell out of my head. Turned out the rumors were true. They are still together now, 20 years later. Not me, but my sister. She said there was a rumor going around that this one teacher was messing around with a girl in her class. It went even far to the point where the teacher addressed it to the class and told them nothing was going on between them and to stop spreading rumors. Fast forward to years later, me and my sister are at the mall. Who do we see holding hands? The teacher and former student. I guess the rumor was true. Early 2000s. One of the high school language teachers, we'll call him Mr. Smith for this story, was suddenly absent. Kids came up with all sorts of stories like he arrested for a slew of things, including drug possession, public intoxication, and hitting a cop. Other teachers would get really mad if you asked any questions about him, saying Mr. Smith was sick. Things quieted down until he showed up as the top story on every local news station one night. I was at Applebee's with friends, and suddenly he was on the bar TV. I remember my friend yelling, Mr. Smith ducked up. Turns out, Mr. Smith took many different substances, got loud, and his neighbors asked him to quiet down. He did not, and eventually locked himself out of his own house somehow. Neighbor calls the cops when he sees Mr. Smith banging on his own door. Note, he lived alone. Mr. Smith tries to fight said cops when they show up, so he is arrested and charged. The rumor that turned out to be true was that the old money family, like for centuries, but now lost a lot gorgeous kid, was a kleptomaniac. She kept befriending new money girls only in order to rob their mother's jewelry when at their home. She was insta-transferred to another school when it came out. She also had been dating the world's least attractive gay boy ever, and he was not nice either. He later came out. Some of us were surprised, but more cause everyone deemed him asexual. We also had a teacher who loved talking about aliens raping him. There was this one senior girl who would always hang out with the religion teacher guidance counselor. Every time I passed by they were chatting away. She graduated and they got married and had babies. My friend who was a junior banged the student French teacher and she eventually got deported after someone found out. She was exceptionally hot. I didn't believe him until she got deported. I went to Catholic high school. I absolutely hated going there. There was 2 sex scandals while I went there. I only going to tell about the first one. It happened in August 2008. One of the Rumours involved my geometry teacher. Let's call him Mr. Sampson. It was literally at the beginning of sophomore year. Mr. Sampson literally only showed the first day of school. A few days passed by and we was wondering where Mr. Sampson was. Rumor has it that he was having an unsuitable relationship with a student on the girls basketball team. It turns out it was true and by that Friday he got arrested for ducking a student. It was all over the city news. We had 6 teachers at geometry class through the school year because of that. That the chemistry teacher was pregnant. All the students figured it out months before she announced it because she stopped coming to school hungover. She denied it for the longest time and when she finally did announce it, she asked how we knew and we all went, "You stopped coming in hungover." She tried to deny that too, but we pointed out all the time she decided class would be spent watching Mythbusters while she held her head and popped a couple Advil and that we hadn't had a class like that in months. Rumour was everyone's favorite substitute teacher. Was a huge pothead. He had long hair and was generally just a cool guy. He never got the typical substitute treatment cause he just had the energy. He was one of us, but it was never inappropriate. But a rumor started he was seen smoking a bowl in the school parking lot, which escalated to he's a huge pothead. IDK whatever came of that discipline wise, but everyone heard it. Anyway, around 4 years after graduating, me and my boys were at a bar and he was there playing guitar in a band. Immediately asks us if we wanna smoke a joint with him. Lol. Not a rumor. As a sign of how times have changed. I am a 50-plus-year-old guy. I clearly remember our 6th grade teacher telling us how back in the day the school staff was aware of a girl who was homeless, with or without family was never stated. School staff stayed silent to respect her privacy and dignity. The school would let her in super early in the morning, shower, get her fed, let her wash her clothes there in the school laundry room, do her homework, etc. Like really adopted her. I also remember the teacher crying in tears as she spoke. That day and that teacher are forever etched in my memories.